أعوذ بالله السميع العليم من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم أفضل الصلاة والسلام على أشرف المرسلين سيدنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. So today we are going to continue inshallah with our inner dimensions of fasting. Today is session 2 inshallah. I'm just going to wait a few minutes inshallah until we give an opportunity for others to join us inshallah. While we're doing that, I wanted to start off today with a dua, inshallah, and this is something that we should continue with throughout all our sessions, inshallah, and that is Allahumma alimna bima anfa'na wanfa'na bima 'allamtana wazidna ilma. Allahumma alimna bima anfa'na wanfa'na bima 'allamtana wazidna ilma. اللهم علمنا بما ينفعنا وانفعنا بما علمتنا وزدنا علما. And the last session we covered essentially at the end we covered the 3 grades of fasting. So I wanted to give an opportunity for those that joined us last time to put into the chat what those 3 grades of fasting are, or we could also so I'm going to put out 2 questions. Actually, let me start off with number 1. What is the reason that what is the purpose behind our fasting? So we spent quite a bit of time on Sunday, alhamdulillah, on what is the reason that we're fasting. What are some of the reasons that are quite frequently communicated to non-Muslims when they're asking us why do we fast? And I hope that we clarified that first purpose, that first reason that we fast. So I'm just going to wait for a few of your responses. Why do we fast, or what is the purpose behind the fast? Okay, self-discipline. What do you mean by that, Tasneem? So Tasneem says because we love to eat. Yes, we do love to eat. So Rolla, mashallah. So we fast to gain taqwa. لَعَلَّكُمْ تَتَّقُونَ. Correct? So we are fasting to gain taqwa. And we went into a lot of the benefits of taqwa in our last session, and we went specifically into even the verses that were mentioned in the Quran regarding taqwa. There are over 150 verses specifically on that one word, alhamdulillah. So and we ended up where in Surah Al-A'raf, where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has a special spot, a special place reserved for those who have taqwa, for his mercy. So he has a special spot for his for those that are muttaqin. He has a special reservation for them within his mercy. So may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala grant us this lofty position, alhamdulillah. So we ended off last time on the 3 grades of fasting. So the 3 grades of fasting, just so that we can pick up time, inshallah, are the initial level, which is the ordinary grade of fasting. So this is essentially the fasting of food and thirst, and you still continue to do or continue to operate your day as if it's any other day. So there's no special uh, taste to this fast. It's basically a fast just of hunger and thirst, and you're still continuing to miss your prayers. You're still continuing to backbite. It's not the fast is not having any impact on your behavior. So this is the bottom level of a fast, which is called the ordinary fast. So these three grades, by the way, are the classifications of Imam Ghazali. So he's essentially saying there's three grades, and that on that bottom level is the ordinary fast, and this actually the Rasul specifically spoke to this, where he says many people fast and all they get out of it is hunger or thirst, meaning that fast has not impacted their behavior. They're not getting any special reward out of it, and it's not long lasting. It's the essential point basically is that it's having a physical impact on them, but it's not a spiritual impact. The second level is a special fast. So you have the ordinary, and now you have the special fast. So that special fast now is a condition or it's a place where you are fasting and you keep your ears away from anything that would displease Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, from listening to cursing or listening to vain talk or backbiting, etc. And you keep your eyes away from anything that displeases Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. By the same token, maybe you go to work or you go to school and you see many instances of things that would displease Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So you refrain your eyes from viewing these things. غض البصر. So you turn your eyes and your eyesight away from anything that would displease Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. By the same token, your hands and your feet, these are strictly in the obedience of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and you're not doing anything to displease Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So this is the rank of the special fast. Now, there's a third level that's even higher than the previous two levels, and that's the fasting of the elite. So Imam Ghazali has called this the fasting of the elite. So what makes the fast so on such a high level? So the fasting of the elite is the fasting of the heart from worldly concerns. And I want you to picture, for example, I want you to picture a boat on a lake or in a body of water, and the dunya is the water. So you're in the water, you're in this dunya, right? But you're not overcome by that water, right? Now picture yourself for a second that boat has a hole in it, and water is now coming inside the boat, and it's going to be a matter of time before that boat is overtaken by the water, and so that water now, just like the dunya, can easily overcome us, right? But if we have that fasting of the elite, we are free of worldly concerns. We know our matter is strictly in Allah's hands. He is a Razzaq. Everything comes from Him, and we have no worldly concerns. And there's essentially you are in control of your emotions. You're in control of how you react to the dunya. So essentially, you have the dunya in your you have the dunya in your heart, but not the dunya does not have you, right? So you are in control of that scenario. So before I continue, Okay, I wanted to hit upon uh, our intentions. So there's a hadith, obviously the most famous of the uh, intentions. And I actually, so when as we're going through this inner dimensions of fasting, we're going to be essentially studying uh, two works of Imam al-Ghazali. So the book of Breaking the Two Desires, as well as the book of the Secrets of Fasting. Okay, and within this, within these works, there is some time and effort devoted to intentions. So the most famous hadith on intentions is in Imam al-Nawawi's collection of hadith, and it's essentially saying that the actions are according to your intentions, and everyone will get what was intended. So whoever migrates with an intention for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and His Messenger, alayhi salatu wasalam, then that migration will be for Allah and His Messenger, and He will be fully rewarded and compensated for that intention. And whoever migrates for a worldly gain, or to marry a woman, or for other purposes, then his migration will be for the sake of what he migrated for. So before we go into the deeper dimensions of fasting and the subjects that we'll address, inshallah, we have to guard our intentions. That's first and foremost. Before we do anything, we have to guard our intentions. So whether it's going to school, logging on to the YouTube sessions, or any of the things that we do, we have to look within ourselves and guard our intentions and be wary of our intentions. And you remember, I had a few sessions back in the earlier part of the year where I specifically spoke about intentions and upgrading your intentions, and even the hierarchy of intentions along the pyramid. So that pyramid, if you remember, this was the classes that I gave around the um, achieving your best self class. So this was about 5 or 6 weeks uh, of uh, of lessons that we covered the hierarchy of intentions, and that hierarchy, or that pyramid, goes from Allah's pleasure all the way down to worldly or worldly status or worldly fame, right? So we can constantly review our intentions so that we can put our intentions on the right path, inshallah. So one of the things I wanted to start off with is um, what are the signs that your fasting has been accepted? So one of the signs that your fast has been accepted is that you started off Ramadan in one particular, you started off Ramadan at one particular type of a person, and you ended Ramadan a completely changed person or a completely different person, right? So if that's the case, then that is a sign that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has accepted your fast, because it has changed your behavior. Okay, maybe beforehand you were not praying every one of your prayers on time, and now by the end of by the end of the month of Ramadan, 29 and 30 days, you are now habituating yourself to be fasting and to be praying every one of your prayers on time. So you have Salat al-Fajr and Salat al-Isha are typically the hardest ones for us to do on time, right? But you specifically devoted these 29 and 30 days towards fasting, and now you have accomplished that. So now you go out into Shawwal and in the months that follow Shawwal, and you are praying every day, no matter where you may happen to be. You may be at work, or you may be at school, or at a friend's house, or a family member's house, but you are maintaining your prayers irrespective of where you are. So that behavior has changed has changed you, and now you are that is a sign that you have that your prayer your fasting has been accepted. So that's a very good sign. Once you input a new behavior change, and now that you take that into the rest of the year, that's one of the signs that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has accepted your prayer. So one of the blessings and uh, one of the benefits of the month of Ramadan is that it's 29 or 30 days. And while other faiths have fasting into their belief system, this fast is 29 or 30 days, and that's unique. So the Christians will fast from they will sacrifice something in their fast. So, for example, they may fast from chocolate or from meat, for example, for a period of time, right? But and the Jews, I believe, they fast one entire 24-hour period, right? But this fast allows us to instill good habits in our behavior. So, and the scientists that study this, behavioral scientists, will go into uh, 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 they'll study your behavior, and they have told us that it takes 21 days to develop a good habit. So now it becomes a routine. Okay, so now that it's become a routine, it's after 21 days. Now it's easier to adopt that routine, and now it becomes a part of your daily habit. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has given us 29 or 30 days. He's simplified that process for us, and we now hope to change our behavior from beginning to end of Ramadan. So I hope we all, inshallah, experience that behavior change and that sign of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's acceptance of our fast, inshallah. Now, one important point I also want to mention here is that when you're in the process of instilling a new habit, you want to account for yourself before you're being held to account. And that's a famous saying on Sayyidina Umar radiallahu anhu, "Hasibu anfusakum qabla al-hisab." Okay, so this becomes important because if you are going to try to instill your habits, and you're going to try to change your behavior, you have to have that discipline. You have to have that that accountability to change your behavior. Otherwise, nothing will change, and then your fast will be for naught. Okay, so one of the things I wanted to quote you is actually a quote from Imam Ghazali, and he says, "Your time should not be without any structure, such that you occupy yourself arbitrarily with whatever comes along. Rather, you must take account of yourself." So again, he's essentially saying what Sayyidina Umar has advised us, right? You need to take account of yourself and order your worship throughout the day and night, assigning to each period of time an activity that must not be neglected, nor replaced by another activity. By this ordering of the time, the blessing in the time will show itself. Okay? A person who leaves himself without any plan, as animals do, not knowing what he is going to do at any given moment, will spend most of his time fruitlessly. Okay? And the quote goes on. So if you want this quote, I can send it to you. Just please comment your email, and it's a very beautiful commentary on how to structure your time and to structure your day so that you are achieving your best self and you're fasting and you're attaining your prayers and really the point of this, and I also mentioned this in my achieving your best self class, is that this tells us to structure your day around your prayers. So around after Salat al-Dhuhr, I'm going to do my science homework. I'm going to do project XYZ. After Salat al-Asr, then I'm going to finish my algebra homework, or I'm going to do housework, or whatever the case may be. But you are structuring now your day around the prayer, and that gives many benefits, alhamdulillah, if you structure your day according to this. So one inshallah. So again, please send me your email just as a reminder, but and I will make sure that you get this amazing quote from Imam Ghazali, inshallah. So here we are. We're in Ramadan, and one of the advices that is given for Ramadan is to create a Ramadan journal. Okay, now some of you may ask, well, why should I create a Ramadan journal? Well, when we go to work, I myself, for example, when I go to work, there's an annual review where people hold me accountable. During the year, you did this project successfully, you did this project successfully, and you did this one successfully, and then there was this project that you didn't do so well, right? So there's a yearly review where I'm being held to accountable. What did I produce for this past year, right? So you want to create a Ramadan journal so that you can evaluate yourself at the end of that month and see, okay, I have changed. I have moved from where I wasn't praying every day and every prayer on time. And now, because of this Ramadan journal, I wrote down goals. I wrote down certain behaviors during the month. And now I'm actually maintaining my prayers throughout the rest of the year. It's not just during Ramadan, or it's not just because I'm in quarantine, right? So now you can actually see yourself making that progress, and you should have goals for yourself in this journal. So when some people, so some of us may know somebody who was smoking, and now they control themselves for the 16 and 17 hours of the fast. Well, if they're able to control themselves for those 16, 17 hours, then they can do beyond that. If they're able to control themselves from the halal, right? If they're able to control themselves from the halal for the 16 and 17 hours of a fast, they can do the same for a haram. Okay, and it gives your soul, gives yourself the confidence that you can control your desires. So definitely recommend a Ramadan journal. Okay. Now, one of the benefits of fasting is in the verses regarding Ramadan in the Quran, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, "In sa'alaka abadi anni fa inni qareeb." Okay, so should my servant ask you about me, Ya Muhammad alayhi salatu wasalam, leave this matter between me and my servant. Okay, this is a direct now communication between me, between Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, our creator, and us as servants. Okay, now this is incredible, because now you have a direct line to your creator. You have a direct line to the one who gave you everything that we have here today. Okay, and one of the items that I talked to the class on Friday nights about is that our hearts are beating 100,000 times a day, and we are not having any power or any influence of it. It's beating on its own, and it pumps so much blood every day that if I had to actually carry that amount of blood from point A to point B, I couldn't physically carry that amount of blood, right? But it's being done naturally, right? The breath of fresh air that we breathe in and breathe out every day. This is all done naturally. We don't have to have a life, a life preserving system hooked up to us to get our lungs to expand and contrast, right? These are all blessings of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and we should be grateful for these things. So during this workshop, it was also so this. By the way, this is uh, a multi-day workshop that I took. So I'm trying to share this workshop with you during the course of this class, inshallah, for the month of Ramadan. So during this workshop, we are really it was the point was made that we are really uh, we're really split in two. Every human is split in two. We have a spiritual component, our soul, and we have a physical component, right? And we have that angelic nature. Our soul is that is what yearns to be like an angel, right? And then we have the physical side that sort of drags us back down. Okay, so the point here is that the body is a cage, but when you fast, you free yourself from that cage, okay, and you get to please your spiritual self or your soul, and it's like a spring cleaning. Okay, so this is what I mean when I say that we need to look inwards and we need to need to hold ourselves accountable. So we have a spiritual high, right? And from our fasting, we can get a spiritual high because this is strictly an act for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the only one that will know that I'm fasting or not. I could be talking to you here today, and I could have just finished a Big Mac and or a Whopper, and I could have had my fill of my favorite ice cream, or had some frozen yogurt, and none of you would know. Not anybody watching would know. So the fast is a spiritual act for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and He rewards it as He sees fit. Okay, He rewards it as He sees fit. So we talked about the enemies of your. We talked about the enemies of uh, our our. So I should say that maybe I should say it as everybody has four enemies. Okay, the enemies are an-nafs, shaitan, our desires, and our dunya. Okay, so these enemies, right? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has taken one away during the month of Ramadan. What are those? What is that one enemy that's been taken away from among the nafs, the shaitan, the desires, and the dunya? Which one is taken away? And I'll just expect maybe an answer or two, hopefully from anybody watching. Okay, good. So the shaitan is chained and he is completely out of the picture now. Okay, but we still have three enemies that we have to fight. Okay, so the nafs is the ego. We'll always have that, right? Now there's also our desires, and we also have the dunya. Okay, so the one commonality between all four of these is that fasting combats all four of these enemies. Okay, so when we, by the way, we should mention here is that when we are battling these enemies, we are sometimes going to take a step back, right? Sometimes we fall and sometimes we sin. But when we sin, we should still be on an upward trajectory. Meaning what? Meaning that as I'm improving, as I'm getting better, I may fall back, but I'm never going to fall back to the position that I was in initially. So yes, I may take a step back, but I take two forward. I take one back, I take three forward. Then I take one back, but then I go back ahead two more. So there should always be a upward trajectory to our progress and our fasting and our improvements. Okay. Now, we're pretty close to half an hour, and that's what I wanted to limit it to. But before I finish, the 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 workshop continued basically to say that the greatest of the destroyers is the desire of the stomach. So by it, shaitan had Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala yani, shaitan got Adam, Sayyidina Hawa, removed from the garden, and that was as a result of the desires of the stomach. So the desires of the stomach really lead to the majority of the sins. Okay, they the majority of the sins, our sicknesses and our spiritual sicknesses and our illnesses are all emanating from one of two desires. One being the desires of the stomach, and then two, the desires of uh, uh, physical intimacy. So it's funny because there's a pyramid. There's Maslow's pyramid or hierarchy of intentions, and then Imam Ghazali says essentially that he has his own pyramid, right? And he says basically that the desires of the stomach are on the base end of that pyramid, then become once you're taken care of and you have that issue resolved, you can focus in on other things, right? So a poor man that's homeless is not going to worry about wealth and status and other desires. He's got to take care of himself. He's got to take care of his own physical needs first and foremost, right? So that's your the desires of the stomach come first. Then once you become insatiated or you satisfy that desire, then becomes physical intimacy and the desires of the self. So once you're once you're in that pyramid, the third level, right, is the status, is the level of jobs and status and money and wealth, and then from that, it's very easy to develop heedlessness. Okay, so heedlessness is often a result of that third level. Okay, jobs, status, money, wealth, etc. That's how you. It's very easy to attain ghafla in that state. And then once you're in the state of ghafla, it becomes easy then to become angry, to become envious, to become jealous, all the spiritual diseases that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala helps us combat. Laziness, there's three levels to the soul, right? النفس الأمارة بالسوء, النفس اللوامة, which most of us fall in, and then النفس المطمئنة, right? So our soul, maybe we know that we should go to the gym and work out because it's good for us, or maybe we know we should do our homework early and well in advance of a due date, but our nafs sometimes convinces us to do things that are not good for us or not in our best interests, right? So these types of things are coming from ghafla, from heedlessness. So I'm gonna stop here. We're gonna cover more about this going forward. I want to keep this to half an hour. I hope you're benefiting from this. I usually will ask you I will usually like to keep this interactive and have you more involved, inshallah. But if you have any questions, please post them in the chat, and I'll do my best to answer them. And then in the coming weeks, like I said, if you want to see this, so we're going to go Sundays and Tuesdays. If you'd like, we can do this on Fridays as well. But I want to see I want to see your feedback on that first. But if not Fridays, then at least on minimum Sundays and Tuesdays, inshallah. So that's the plan going forward, inshallah. We have quite a bit to cover in this, so I may have to go to a few Fridays here or there, inshallah. But for now, I'll just stop here and ask if there's any questions, inshallah. Barakallah feek, Yasmin. Thank you. So Tasneem, if I ask you why we're fasting, or what's the purpose of our fast, you would say what? Tasneem's not with us anymore? MashaAllah. Yes, taqwa. Good. Okay, so it does not appear that there's any questions. So I'm going to hold today's dars here. And if you have any questions, please, you can contact me offline, and I will take these email addresses and send you the quote from Imam Ghazali on the structure of your day and how to best use your time, inshallah. Okay, جزاكم الله خير في حفظ الله. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. والعصر إن الإنسان لفي خسر إلا الذين آمنوا وعملوا الصالحات وتواصوا بالحق وتواصوا بالصبر. السلام عليكم.